It's Mattress Firm's biggest 4th of July sale ever. Hurry in and get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen bed for the price of a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend just $6.99 on Sealy. Or save $500 on all Tempur-Pedic Breeze mattresses. With our low price guarantee, you can rest assured you'll get the best bed at the best price, only at Mattress Firm. Offer valid with qualifying purchase. Restrictions apply. Valid at participating locations only. For offer details, visit mattressfirm.com/sale.
With 24/7 customer service and guaranteed repairs, your Progressive policy works the way it's supposed to. Unlike this stressful meditation guide.
Take a deep breath. Focus on all the things you have to do. Did someone make the vet appointment yet? You don't know? That feels like something you should know.
Switch to Progressive today.
You are a mess.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Repairs through Progressive Network Shops guaranteed for as long as you own or lease your car.
Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson, here on the elusive Sunday edition of the Boneyard. And what a great night it is. Hadn't been back too long, I guess. I want to thank the fine folks at Taco Bell for being open late. Went and got some grub. I've been catching up on social media, reading many of your tweets and posts on the message boards and the Facebook groups. And man, it just feels so good to win. It absolutely feels so good to win. And it's almost indescribable. But I'm going to do my best on this show. Let me turn this up just a little bit here. I think you guys probably deserve a little better sound quality there. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on and there's so much to feel good about. And I'm excited. And I know you guys are too. We have earned every bit of this. It's one of the things that I want to really kind of articulate here as well as I can. We did not get lucky. You don't luck your way into the College World Series finals. We've earned our way there. I'm not going to spend too much time patting myself on the back, but I shared with you guys before we got to Omaha that I really felt like the team that won that first game between Mississippi State and Texas would be playing for a national championship, and here we are. And the reason that we're playing for a national championship is because we're the best team in that bracket. We proved it on the field. There are a lot of people out there that claim superiority due to matters of opinion. That's one of the things I love about real sports is we have a scoreboard. There is no matter of opinion. We get so caught up in polls and things like that throughout the year, and that's the best thing about college baseball is that we have a tournament at the end of the year to settle and decide who are the best teams. As it stands today, Mississippi State will do no worse than a number 2 ranking in the final poll. And it's not going to be based on what somebody thinks about us. It won't be based on the looks test. It won't be based on strength of schedule. It won't be based on RPI. It's going to be based on the fact that Mississippi State is coming to Omaha, Nebraska, and they've won three games in the NCAA tournament for only the second time in school history. We're playing for it all. It's incredible to think about. And how great is it that we're going to be playing a team that we know very, very well. And at times they've had our number. But I think everybody would probably admit Vanderbilt has it coming. And I know a lot of people would say, well, you know, Steve, that they're this and they're that, and they've got this and they've got that. And they do. They have a lot of advantages. But here we are similarly situated without those same advantages. We don't have the scholarship numbers they do, but here we are. And we'll get a chance to get out there and get a little shot at redemption Monday, Tuesday, and maybe Wednesday. But I can assure you that we're probably the last team in the field that Vanderbilt wanted to see. They may say otherwise publicly, but Mississippi State is a team that should have taken 2 out of 3 from them in Nashville. We know it, they know it, and anybody that understands baseball knows that as well. Mississippi State, winners of Bracket 2. Nobody gave us a free pass, and that's one of the things, too. I spoke with my son, Ani, this morning, and he kind of pointed out to me, and I actually used it in my notebook today, is look at the easy path that Vanderbilt has had. They've been very fortunate. Now, to their credit, they still had to go make the plays to win games. But let's go back and look at that Arizona game. In extra innings, if they're playing double play depth, Gonzalez hits into an inning-ending double play. But because they're playing the infield up for some reason, that ball gets through. They win the game. They walk it off. And you know what? Congratulations, Gonzalez. I think you're a better player than many people give you credit for. Second game, You get out there again, they lose that one, NC State, a 1-0 ball game. Shows you how much starting pitching really matters. Then you get into that game 3, down to your final strike. Javier Vaz, to his credit, battles and battles and battles and earns a walk. They bring in a pinch hitter and they get a ground ball to short. And because they're shaded back up the middle, the ball is a little bit too right of the shortstop. He throws it wild, tries to do too much. The runner goes to third. Now the tying run is at third. Enrique Bradfield comes up, who is a stud. And once he figures out that he's not a home run hitter, he'll probably hit 500. Enrique Bradfield comes up and barrels one up in the right field, drives in a run. Now it's first and third. And Brandon Beck, who is one of the best pitchers in the country, throws a wild pitch and gifts them a run. That's a difficult thing to live with if you're Brandon Beck. It really is. Then they go out and play an NC State squad that basically is a junior varsity squad, and that's not to take anything away from them. NC State missing 14 players due to COVID testing and in COVID protocols. And they still nearly won the baseball game. Had the tying runs on base, 2 or 3 at the last 3 innings of the ball game? And then Vanderbilt is gifted a pass today. They don't have to play NC State. And those poor kids from NC State, I mean, you can say there's enough blame to go around for everybody, but the bottom line is the guys that did what they were supposed to do didn't get a chance to play for a national championship. I would have loved to have had an opportunity to play them. Mississippi State versus NC State, that would guarantee a first-time winner of the College World Series. That's not going to happen. There's never an easy path for Mississippi State, despite what some other people would suggest. Mississippi State had a very difficult NCAA regional. Had 3 conference champions in there. State beat them all. State gets a super regional against Notre Dame. A team that's talented enough to play in Omaha. Still support the idea that the NCAA selection committee did the absolutely right thing by not granting them a top 8 national seed. They didn't play the non-conference games. It's a lot easier deal when you can save all your arms for the weekend. I think the true measure of a team is really how they perform outside of their own league. So Notre Dame comes to Mississippi State. We win it in 2 out of 3 games. And again, a team certainly capable of coming to Omaha and winning some ball games. Then we get pushed into this deal here. We find a way to beat the number 2 national seed in game 1. We bounce back in game 2, play another hot team, which is what happens when you're in Omaha. You play hot teams. You get Virginia, a team that was a preseason top 20 team and underperformed at the beginning of the year, but they turned it around. They were hot down the stretch, worked their way through, and listen, they were, fifth best in the ACC in the final standings, but they found a way to get to Omaha. And they beat Tennessee in game 1. And then we beat them in game 2. And they were absolutely mowing us down, for the better part of 7 innings. We started to get some very aggressive swings there. In the 8th inning, we come through. Tanner Allen with a home run that will live in Bulldog infamy. We lose to Texas last night. A lot of discussion, too, about when to bring in Landon Sims. And I know that's a controversial topic, but I'm still going to broach the subject with you guys here today. My opinion will not be changed. And some would say, well, Steve, the same thing unfolded on Sunday. It's not true. It wasn't the same situation because yesterday we still had today to play with. If you throw Landon Sims in that ball game against Texas in a tie ball game, especially when we were struggling the way we were at the plate, what if you burn him and you lose the game? Because they were absolutely dealing. They threw all their best arms on Saturday. We threw our best arms on Sunday. And so we beat Texas 3 out of 4 times this year. The Big 12 champions. I said at the beginning of Omaha, I wasn't exactly sure how good they were. They're a very talented team. Mississippi State's simply better. And I also shared with you guys on the last show that I didn't think that Texas had the arms to beat us 2 games. And they didn't. We got to them. We made the plays to win. We're going to break that game down. We're going to feel good about life. We're going to look ahead a little bit to Vanderbilt. I'm going to do a Facebook Live show some point on Sunday, maybe late afternoon, early evening. I've got some invites that I want to try to take up and go celebrate with some Bulldog fans on Sunday night. Monday is going to be here sooner than you realize. So we get a rest day of sorts, and we'll be right back to it. Best 2 out of 3 for all the marbles against a team that we know extremely well, and they know us. But based on how they played offensively here in Omaha, I like our chances. Not ready to call it yet, but I like our chances. I think we have a really good chance to go compete against Vanderbilt. And here's the thing that I think about too. I know a lot of people in Raleigh, North Carolina, they're going to be cheering for Mississippi State, and rightfully so. There'll be a lot of baseball fans that know baseball around the country that'll be cheering for Mississippi State because of the scholarship differential. There'll be a lot of people around the Southeastern Conference cheering for Mississippi State because of that dadgum Whistler. And so when we take the field on Monday, it's not just going to be a sea of maroon. It's going to be basically most of college baseball, outside of a few folks in Mississippi that don't know baseball that cheer for a team up the road. And before I get into breaking down the game, I want to reference that one more time. And I said this on the last show. I want this to be about us. And for the most part, it has been. And listen, I know we get in our feelings and we get giddy and we want to say, I told you so. But none of that really matters anymore. What other people think, what rival schools, fans think about Mississippi State is just simply not important. It means absolutely nothing. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the outcome of the game. All it does is kind of get your dander up a little bit. And we should be above that. And so, again, I'm going to remind you and I'm going to ask you, let's not go tag people in tweets or make posts on Facebook and that sort of stuff. And listen, I'm kind of a ninja when it comes to that sort of stuff. I'm probably the king of the subtweet. But this is about Mississippi State. This is about our families. This is about our dads and our grandfathers and those that maybe never saw this day come and hoped it would come, and maybe they didn't live long enough to see it. And I think about our friend Stan Horton, and I think about my friend Tom Minyard, and I think about my own dad and what it would mean to them to see Mississippi State playing for a national championship. And you know what? We've been here before. Back in 2013, we were here. We should probably be here with greater regularity. And I know many people out there, when things go poorly, they're very critical of Chris Lemonis. But guys, Chris Lemonis is the absolute right guy for this job. Wasn't too long ago, some LSU people with their sources were saying he was a major candidate for their job. He wasn't, but that didn't stop people from printing it. He's our guy. And we're his people. His dad's a Mississippi State graduate. He understands what baseball means to us. One of the things that he had told me when we had an interview a while back is, it's just a matter of time before Mississippi State wins a national championship. It's the only thing we're missing. And now here we are. In 2018, we had an opportunity with Gary Henderson, and we lose to Oregon State in the bracket just as we would have done tonight. I mean, same format, right? We win the first two and we lose the last two. But Oregon State was the best team in the country back here in 2019, and we actually probably underachieved a little bit, to be fair. We took Auburn for granted, and I think because we had handled them so much in the regular season, I think we thought, well, it's still Auburn. We'll be okay. They outplayed us for 8 innings. But in the 9th inning, Jake Mangum, Elijah McNamee, others, Marshall Gilbert, said, you know what? Nah, we're not going out like that. Then we lose to Vanderbilt, who was the best team in the country, and ultimately won the national championship. Well, now here we are with a chance to prove that we're the best team in the country. One of the things that I have said all year long is there is not a dominant team in all of college baseball. Some people have suggested, well, Arkansas, and listen, they're a great team. They are. I still believe that their offense would have been swallowed whole in TD Ameritrade just like Tennessee's was. When you're so reliant on the long ball and you can't hit the long ball, you lose. Really feel like Mississippi State's offense, Virginia's offense, Texas's offense, Vanderbilt's offense, probably a little better suited for TD Ameritrade. NC State's offense. So teams that can get out there and string hits together win games. And to be fair, we have not done a lot of that. We have not strung a lot of hits together. At times we've had to have a little help. We've had to have an error here, a walk there, misplay ball here and there. And some of that's the big stage. But the reality of it is we are here. And we didn't get lucky by any stretch of the imagination. We didn't get lucky. We didn't have an easy path. They put a bracket together, and at the end of the deal, we've won our side of the bracket. And now we have a chance to go win it all. Our good friends, Bulldog Burger Company, longtime sponsors of the show, 3 great locations to serve you. And I hope for those of you that could not get to Omaha, we forget about Hoover, that maybe you go watch a ball game at Bulldog Burger Company. Listen, they got a full-service bar there. You can go make that your stay gating destination. Bring the kids, have some burgers, watch a ball game with other Bulldog fans. It's a great location to go to. Now on Lake Harbor Drive there in Ridgeland, Gloucester Street and Tupelo, University Drive right here in Start Vegas. Go have the spring rolls. Tell them that I sent you. Some of them may look at you and say, who is he? Yeah, I got to work harder, right? The Bulldog Burger Company is a great place to enjoy a family meal and a ball game. You can have guys' night, girls' night, whatever you want there. Family night, whatever you need to do. You can take care of it. Go by, check them out today. Bulldog Burger Company, the place where people go to meet. M-E-A-T. So Will Bednar starts for us. Now, I will be bluntly honest with you guys. I was a little bit worried about the horns down thing from the other night. But, listen, Will goes out there and backs it up. But you and I both know, David Pierce and his staff, I am confident that they showed their team that video, that picture that made the rounds on social media. And while it was funny, it was disrespectful. But you know what? It's part of the game. And I'm sure they used it as motivation. And I don't blame them. But that's the thing, too. When somebody calls their shot and shuts you down, you just tip your cap. I worried a little bit about Bednar, too, because if you look at his appearances after he throws 100 pitches or more, it hadn't been great. You had the Missouri situation. You had Hoover. Then you had Notre Dame. He didn't have great outings. Some of them were decent, but none of them were great. Today was. He did elevate a couple of balls, and a lot of that, too, is just because of the fact that, he's throwing a little bit on shorter rest. But, Will Bednar is a guy that comes down here and wins 2 games in Omaha. He's won more games than a lot of our teams have won in Omaha. He was absolutely outstanding. So we open up, and I really thought that he was great. Comes out there, attacks the strike zone early. We get a strikeout swinging, and then a strikeout swinging, and Zubia grounds out to short. Nice play there by Lane Forsythe. I thought it was interesting, too, with a power hard thrower like Will Bednar, that they would put those 2 lefties at the top of the order. They did that last night, and I guess they felt like, well, we won, so let's stick with it. I thought they might shake it up a little bit and move Kennedy down and kind of go right, left, right. They didn't do that. And for the most part, Will kind of controlled those guys, and that was key. Antico is a stud for Texas. Keeping him off the bases is great because he's their leading base stealer. So we get into the bottom of 1, and Rowdy gets, I think, an 8-pitch at bat to start the thing. We ground out to the pitcher, so we didn't get much to show for it, but I was glad to see him work the count a little bit. We didn't do it as much late. He had some really quick innings, but his first inning, we kind of got in his pitch count a little bit. TA comes up and just rips a single back up the middle, and you knew that he was going to come out fighting. That's just who he is. He's our guy. He's the tone setter for us. And there's been some guys that have picked him up a little bit in Omaha, but it was good to see TA seeing the baseball well and jumping on it. Cam strikes out swinging on 3 pitches. And listen, he's out there to mash, not just to watch pitches. So it's a foul, and then a K swinging. And then Luke grounds out to second. We did a lot of that grounding out to second early in the ball game. And that's just, listen, you give them credit. You give them credit when you got a fastball with some movement on it and you throw it inside and you get under some bats, people beat it in the ground. That's exactly what happened there. So we get in the top of second, and we were really careful with Melendez. And that's absolutely the right call. He's the guy that can absolutely hurt you, just like he did on Saturday night with that 3-run bomb. And listen, you tip your cap. That was even a great pitch. The one he hit out was absolutely down. He just went down and got it. And so sometimes you tip your cap, and that was the case. So we walk him on 4 pitches, and none of them were really in the zone. And I think it was pretty obvious that we were kind of unintentionally walking him just to kind of make sure that somebody else beats us. And then they get the sac bunt down, which is kind of par for the course. Them and UVA both. They get a guy on with less than 2 outs, they're going to bunt him over. And then Cam Williams is really just a situation where the bat finds the ball, or really maybe the other way around, the ball finding the bat. We're 0-2. Will catches a little too much at the plate there. And Cam Williams, launches it on out. He basically just, swung hard and swung up, uppercut swing, and he's a guy that hadn't done a whole lot in Omaha, and that's his memory. He hits an absolute jack there to go up 2-0, and rather than fold, Will goes right back and gets back-to-back punch-outs of Hodo and Faltini. And I think Faltini is a liability to play, but man, that kid plays a pretty good brand of shortstop. Bottom of second, we go 1, 2, 3. They face the minimum here. Logan Tanner singles back up the middle, and that's good. We need to get Logan going. We need more from him in order to beat Vanderbilt. And he had a really good game against Jack Leiter. We played them in Nashville. Then DeBrule grounds into double play. Again, it's a 4-6-3, so we're grounded out there to the second base. and that was on an 0-2 count. And then Cumbus flies out on the first pitch. And so it's a 5-pitch inning. It's a 5-pitch inning there for Tristan. And so didn't look good. Bednar goes right back out there and gets a 1-2-3 inning himself. Ardoin flies out to right. Antico grounds out to first. And really a great job by Luke Hancock there. I don't know if many people caught that on the TV, is that he actually grabbed it before it went foul to ensure that it was an easy out. I mean, yeah, he could let that ball go, and who knows what happens. But Antico grounds that thing out there, and Luke grabs it in fair territory and goes and steps on the bag. It was a very big out at the time. I think it's important, too, to kind of praise him for his play at first base because he's not a natural first baseman. He's over there because he's a ball player trying to fill a need for us. And then Kennedy strikes out looking. So, again, there's your first two guys. There's your righty-lefty matchup. And two times through the order here, they've done nothing. Bottom of third, State has a chance to get back in this ball game. Kellen Clark doubles to left field, and it was, again, just great opportunity there. Wind kind of blew it fair, though. I think it was may have been fair anyway, but a little bit of breeze there kind of kept it in play. And it's an 0-2 count. I mean, he's down swinging on a pair of pitches and hangs in there. Good job of two-strike hitting. Goes the other way and really rifled that thing out there. And because they were kind of shading over to right, you had some room down the line. Forsythe tries to get the bunt down. He doesn't advance the runner. Just not a good job of bunting there. And again, I feel like I'm always beating up on Lane Forsythe, and I don't mean to be. He is a great defensive player. He is still learning on the offensive end. And you had, Zubia charging right down the line. I mean, you draw that bat back, you probably have a heart attack there. But anyway, we didn't execute there. And it cost us a little bit here in the inning. Really thought, technically you want to get some things done here. Rowdy Jordan, then again, Rowdy a tough at bat here too. Gets ahead 3-1, pops up to the shortstop, and you begin to think we're not going to score. But TA comes in, rips one back up the middle there, and Clark scores. It's now a 2-1 ball game. Cam James grounds out to short on 3 pitches. When Cam's got to get some lengthier at bats. Cam needs to see pitches. So now it's a 2-1 ball game, and at this point, I think we all felt like, we just got to kind of hold this thing in place until we can get to Sims, and we'll be in great shape. So top of 4, we get Zuby get a foul out, and TA does a great job running that thing down in foul territory. And again, I think this situation where the wind may help us a little bit. We walk Melendez on 5 pitches, but again, it's the same situation. Make somebody else beat you, and that's exactly what Bednar does. He then strikes out Daly and then strikes out Cam Williams, the guy that hit the jack the previous at bat. And so we're rolling along here, 2-1, and I'm thinking, Will has kind of figured some things out. That Cam Williams thing was a fluke. That Jackie hit was just, again, just kind of really more of a circumstance thing rather than execution. But we go 1-2-3 in the bottom of 4. Hancock flies out to right, and I thought he got it all. Then, it's like the wind seems to help everybody else for some reason. I guess Luke hits it more on a line, and it doesn't get out. Logan Tannerton strikes out swinging on 3 pitches, and DeBrule grounds out to the shortstop on the second one. So, again, another quick inning there, right? 6-pitch inning, and that's back-to-back innings of single digits for them. And so we're not running pitch count up. I mean, it was amazing to think about that. This is a guy that was thrown on 3 days rest, and give him credit. He competed. Top of 5, Hodu doubles to left center. And to be honest with you, I really thought Brad had a play on this. And rather than play it, against the wall, he decided to take it off the wall, and the ball gets, kind of stuck there at the base. But thought we had a chance to catch this one. Of course, in live action, it's a difficult decision to make, and you got to make it on the fly. So I'm not being critical of Brad. But I think maybe if it's a more familiar ballpark, maybe you're somewhat familiar with the dimensions, I think because he's done that so many times, I think he probably catches that thing against the wall. Faltini then lines out to second, and DeBrule was just right where he needed to be. Ordwine grounds out to second, Hodo goes to third, and then Antico doubles to right center, so he finally gets us. And Mike Antico is a star. I mean, he absolutely is a guy who's going to play baseball a long time. But we get behind in the count here. We get a swing and strike, and it's back-to-back balls. We get a little bit predictable. He rips one to right center, and that's the thing you look up, and you're like, man, we're out hitting these guys. They got 3 hits and 3 runs. They're being efficient with their offense. But I still wasn't ready to panic. Then you get Kennedy to ground out. So, again, the top of the order for them has got 1 hit 3 times through the order. Bottom of 5, Cumbus rips the double down the right field line there. And, Brad's had a good College World Series. A couple of years ago, he was basically here as a spectator in a uniform. But now all of a sudden, he's a guy that's getting extra base hits for us regularly. And we really needed something big to happen here to kind of climb back in it. I mean, now we're down about 2 runs again, and it's become a bit of a pitcher's duel. Clark then singles to right field, his second hit of the day. Now we got runners at first and third. Forsythe grounds into a double play, but the run scores. Had a chance there to have a bigger inning. But at least Forsythe puts the ball in play and we get the run home. That's 3-2. And then Rowdy Jordan singles to left center. And, of course, everybody on press row is thinking it's exactly what we expected. And T.A. grounds out to the shortstop, and they force Rowdy at second to get out of the inning. But, again, we're down 1 run. You're thinking, let's just put some things together. We got a chance. With Bednar going, you start worrying, who are we going to throw to kind of bridge the gap to land him, especially in a 1-run ball game like this, because, if you make the wrong decision here and you get somebody walking people, you're in trouble. Bednar goes out there again and just says, you know what, I got it, guys. We get a fly out to right from Zubia, and then we finally get Melendez out. It's a full count situation, but he pops up to the catcher. We get him in foul territory, and then Daly flies out. So a 1-2-3 inning. Really, really good work from Will Bednar. Bottom of 6, we have a chance to really blow this thing open. It wouldn't maybe have been nearly as much fun, but I think that our anxiety level would have been protected a lot more if we'd gotten a big hit here in this inning. We don't. So Cam James just absolutely battles and battles and battles and battles and gets a leadoff walk here. It's ball 1, a swing and strike, foul. So it's a 1-2 count. Then he works it full, fouls 2 balls off, and then takes a ball low. So great job by Cam. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, we need Cam to get deeper in the counts. And obviously, if he gets something he can handle, we want him to do it. But he is such a good hitter. I think sometimes the more pitches that he sees, the more likely he is to make something happen. But also, too, it kind of runs a pitch count up some. So leadoff walk for Cam, great job there. And then Luke Hancock, we're sitting up there in the press box, and it's like these guys have no idea who Luke Hancock is based on how they're playing him. And, I understand we're going to play double play depth here because you're trying to get out of an inning, and State really struggled at times to get a good ball in play. But Luke pulls it right through the 4-hole there, and if they had shaded him just a little bit there, I think maybe you could turn that. But they were playing straight up in double play depth. It didn't work out. And then Logan Tanner hits a chopper that, Cam Williams made a great effort on there at third base. But Superman wasn't catching that thing, man. The ball was hit with such top spin, and he just didn't have any choice. And Logan got a good swing on it and actually got the top half of the ball. But because he is so strong, he doubles that ball into left field. And it was kind of odd to watch. But, man, when it left the bat, we knew a run was about to score. And so they left Tristan Stevens for Quintanilla, who was a stud. He has thrown earlier this year, and I really thought he was better today. Scotty then works him for a walk. It's a tie ball game at this point too. So so we've got bases loaded now with nobody out. And we've got 7, 8, 9 coming up, but you start thinking, you know what, as strong as Brad and Kellum Clark are, we just need somebody to elevate something to the outfield. Let's hit a ball hard somewhere, and we're going to score a run. Well, that's not what happens. And I don't know if Brad was just fooled on the pitch, but it's like he stopped this bat on contact. I didn't think he got a really good cut at this thing. He swings at the first pitch. Obviously, it was what he was looking for. But I just didn't think his follow-through was very good, and just kind of poked it out there to third, and they forced the runner to plate. Could have been a 1-2-3 double play. It wasn't. Brad got down the line pretty quick. He's kind of tough to throw over, too. And then Kellum Clark strikes out looking. And, again, that's an at-bat. We got to have you. We got to have you right there, Kellum. So we put Josh Hatcher in for Forsythe. And I guess we were going to, kind of thinking, all right, let's make this thing happen. But we didn't want to pull Luke Hancock out of the order either. So Josh comes in, and I'm going to say something here, and I don't want to be critical of Josh because he's been very instrumental to our run in Omaha. He's had a couple of big at-bats that have started rallies for us. This was not one of them. His bat path on this at-bat was kind of reminiscent of what it was that made him lose the starting job at first. I thought he was really, really short. I didn't think he had good play coverage at all. It's almost like he's stepping out, trying to do a little bit too much on an inside pitch. And was kind of an ugly at bat. And so I'm just going to call it like I see it. And again, I'm not trying to be overly critical of Josh. I just think maybe the moment and his emotions kind of got the better of him in this situation. It was 3 strikes swinging, and I don't think he was close to hitting any of them. I mean, to me, it looked like he kind of stepped out, but his plate coverage just wasn't good. That bat path was not consistent with what you'd expect with a senior. So, and I'm sure Josh will tell you the same, but hey, it wasn't a good at bat. And of course, the results kind of proved that. But there we go, bases loaded, nobody out, and we get nothing out of it. Those things happen to losing baseball teams. Top of 7, and of course, we're kind of figuring this thing out here. So we bring Bednar back out for the 7th. And so now I'm thinking, you know what, if we can get to this inning, we don't need to bridge to Sims because Sims is going to be able to get us a couple innings. Tanner Leggett goes in at short in place of Josh Hatcher, of course. So Josh and Lane Forsythe are done for the evening. And Cam Williams to single to left field, and really a great job of hitting, to be fair. Cam back-to-back swinging strikes, and then we try to give him a chase, and then eventually he just dumps the ball on the left, and really a good job of hitting. Hodo then pops up trying to bunt, and we nearly turn 2. Great job by Luke Hancock to snare it and then look back at first, because here's the deal. Everybody is taught on a bunt as a runner that once you see him bunt it through, you take off. You want to get a good jump there, get a second to avoid the double play. And so Williams kind of gets caught in limbo there, but because of the fact Luke looked so quickly, we nearly had it. And listen, give Scotty DeBrew a lot of credit for being over there to even make that play possible. And so now we make the change here and go ahead and go to Landon. And I think every Mississippi State fan in the world saw that happen and said, you know what, Will's been great. Landon can take it from here. We're fixing to win a ball game. What does he do? He comes out and gets Valtini swinging. And again, that guy's a liability at the plate. Williams takes second on a wild pitch, but then we get Ortewan to strike out looking. So Landon, just being Landon there, comes in, gets you out of the inning with a couple of punch-outs. Bottom of 7, of course, it's a tie ball game. We're just thinking, hey, let's find a way to get a lead here because they're not going to be able to score on Landon. And Rowdy Jordan singles to center field, so you're thinking, okay, here we go. Let's just find a way to move him around. We got the heart of the order coming up. Then TA grounds into a double play. And again, it's a lengthy at bat there. He works the count full, gets something he thinks he can handle, and we hit top half of baseball, and they roll it up, and then Cam James strikes out looking, and I thought that the third strike was an absolute joke of a call. And I think when you see the replay of that, or there's some still images out there too, it was a bad call. There's no question. I don't need to defend Cam, but I can be critical of these officials when this is the College World Series. You only got a couple games left. It's supposed to be the best of the best to ensure the integrity of a game, and to get a call like that at the plate. And I understand the ball's moving a lot quicker than it did maybe years ago, but you got to be able to stand there and give you a good call, and that could have cost Mississippi State a baseball game. Those are the things that frustrate you. Texas top of 8. It's a 1-2-3 deal, but I tell you, when Antico's ball left the bat, it was so reminiscent to the home run that Cam Williams hit. I saw TA kind of looking for the wall there, and you can hear Rowdy on the in-game mic saying, hey, you're good, you're good, you're good. It's a good job of communicating there between your outfielders. That's a difficult play. I know it doesn't seem like it, but when you're in an unfamiliar ballpark and you're looking and searching for the wall and at the same time trying to catch a baseball, it can be a little bit complicated. So that was a big shot. We survived that. Kennedy then strikes out looking. Zubia strikes out looking. And again, there's that whole righty-lefty thing blowing up in Texas' face. Kennedy didn't do anything. Absolutely anything. This is a guy that the first time we played him in the World Series, they have him batting ninth, have him batting second the last couple of nights, and it's really worked to our advantage. So bottom 8, we're thinking, you know what, hey, we got 4, 5, 6 coming up. Let's give ourselves a chance here. And we really don't. And give Quintanilla some credit here. He went out there and made some big pitches. He gets Luke to ground out to short, which is kind of rare. Luke is usually a pull guy. Then Tanner fouls out to the first base on the very first pitch. Really, to be honest with you, I thought it was a bit of a selfish swing. It's like we're trying to be the hero here. And he really, really, really overswung there, I thought. And then DeBrew strikes out looking. And again, it's a bad call. And when you see it yourself, and Scotty didn't like getting the umpire sits into him about it too, but you take a strike, you foul one off, it's 0-2. And that's the thing I love about DeBrew is he never really gets elevated emotionally, even when the count gets extended. In any count, he's comfortable. So then he works it to a 2-2 count, foul, and then there's another ball. And rather than award him, a full count, they punch him out. It was a bad call. I won't be convinced otherwise. And that's the second time in a row that a state inning ends on a bad call on a lengthy at bat. So we get to top of 9. Here's what the fun is. And Melendez, unfortunately, is hit by the pitch, and it's a full count there. But, listen, I don't ever want to see these kids get hit. But the fact that they had to take him out of the game, I think, says a lot. You might have pinch run for him anyway as a designated hitter there, just to try to get the run across. But the bottom line is that 94, 95, right to the point of your elbow, that has got to be absolutely excruciating. And hope he makes a full recovery and has a good summer out in the Cape somewhere. But, man, that was brutal to watch. So they do pinch run for him, and I thought that was significant. I'm thinking, you know what, if this thing goes longer and we get in extra innings, we have to start piecing this pitching thing together. At least we won't have to deal with him because he's an absolute monster. So then they get the sag bunt down, which is kind of what them and Virginia both do. They get the leadoff runner guy, and they're going to move him in a scoring position and hope somebody can get him in. They're never really playing for the big inning. They're always playing for one. It makes sense in the ninth, but they do it the whole ball game. So Daly is out. Then Cam Williams flies out to left. Thought he hit it pretty well, and Brad jumps right on it there, catches it on the track. Then Campbell takes third, and then we get Hoda to fly out to right, which kind of sets up a lot of fun here. We're going to spend a little time talking about this bottom of the ninth thing. This is one that we'll never forget. So I know many of you were probably like most fans. We had 7, 8, 9 up, and you're thinking, man, if we can just get somebody on, get the top of the order up, maybe Rowdy or TA can drive a run in, and we win this ball game here. But there's no guarantee in all that. But the teams that win big are teams that find a way to get production on the bottom third of their order. We've had some of that in the postseason. Hadn't always been consistent. We've had some production. We have some today too. Cumbus has had a big hit, it seems, every game. It's crazy to think about, right? Not in this situation, though. Brad does strike out swinging to open the inning, and you're thinking, man, maybe Kellum Clark can run into one. Well, he does, kind of. He opens up at a 1-0 count. He takes a strike and then swings and misses at one. It's a 1-2 count, and then he's hit by the pitch. And I guess it hit him in the foot, if I'm not mistaken. And so we elect to take Clark out of the ball game and put Skinner in there. Now, again, just kind of like with Melendez being out, you're taking one of your big guns out, too, from a power standpoint. And so you begin to ask yourself, all right, well, we got to go try to win this thing now. But if we get deep into this ball game with the season on the line, we're not going to have our big left-handed bat in the order. And so it was a risk, but it paid off. It was great coaching. Braylon Skinner gets in there, and I don't know that he is our most reliable base stealer, but he is one of our best, without a doubt. And so they put him in there, and I guess it was on a 1-0 pitch because Tanner Leggett takes a ball, and we go on a 1-0 count. And, of course, he's got the green light there to go. 1-0 is not always the best count to go on because sometimes it's a fastball count, right? And, catchers a lot of times can catch that a lot easier. In a breaking ball count, they may have to dig one out of the dirt. You've got more of an opportunity to get there. But 1-0 is kind of a fastball count, and he didn't get the best pitch to go on, but he got such a jump. I think it put so much pressure on Silas Ardoin that he just couldn't get there, and the throw sails high. It's a wonder to go in center field. But Skinner steals that thing clean, and I think everybody in the stadium breathed a real sigh of relief right there because you're thinking, you know what? We got a runner in scoring position. We got 2 shots to get him in. You got Tanner Leggett up there. And I want to talk a little bit about Tanner Leggett. I interviewed Tanner Leggett this past summer down in Meridian at the Love of the Game thing that Greg Sykes and them put on down there. And I was so glad they did that because it gave us a chance, number one, to go see some baseball and see some guys that, Logan Tanner was down there. Houston Harding was down there. We got a chance to see the Bulldogs play a little bit, but also, too, just really that was around the time when life was just kind of reopening again. And it was just good to feel normal for a little while. So, Greg, thank you for that. I know a lot of parents and players have thanked you. If I never have, let me thank you now. Thank you, Greg. Greg's a good guy. Love Greg Sykes to death, man. He's a really good person. And so, I remember thinking then, talking to Tanner Leggett, you just kind of wonder, where does he fit? This is a guy that's been around a little while, JUCO signee, but guy was a lifelong Mississippi State fan, and you just wonder, where does he fit? Is he a guy that's going to factor in left? Is he a guy that's going to play second? At this point, we didn't know what was going to happen with Scotty DeBrule. And I think at that time, I don't know if Scotty had even signed yet. We certainly didn't know that he was going to be what he's become. You felt like Cam's going to be able to handle short. Eventually, he moves to third. At that point, we didn't even really know who Lane Forsythe was or was going to be. But Tanner just seemed to be that glue guy. He was a guy that played a little bit everywhere. I watched him play. He played some in the outfield, played some at short. He was a guy that was just kind of a ball player. And you forget, too, Scotty DeBrule wasn't very aggressive after a pop-up one day that fell. And then the next thing you know, Tanner Leggett's in the lineup, and I thought Tanner actually hit it really well. And maybe he's not as smooth as Scotty DeBrule. I don't know. But he actually got his batting average up to 280. You're pretty deep into the season. Matter of fact, goodness gracious, I look back in hindsight now, he was at 317. So it's like you begin to ask yourself, well, why are we taking him out of the order? Well, we did. And, Tanner could have pouted. Tanner could have quit. Some did. But he didn't. He said, you know what? I've always wanted to be a Bulldog, and I'm going to do whatever I can to help this team. And listen, let's be honest, he's not much a Major League Baseball prospect. This is a guy you got to make hay while the sun's shining, right? This is my opportunity to play and do something amazing and play and be a part of this Mississippi State team. And so he did. He stuck it out. He became a defensive replacement. At times he was a pinch runner. He did the little stuff. He did what was asked of him. And he's not the most talented guy on the roster by any stretch. He's a team-first guy. Those guys like him are who you win with. I mean, you got to have some guys like T.A. and Rowdy Jordan. You got to have those guys. But you got to have some guys, too, that he says, you know what, I'm just going to accept my role. I'm going to keep working hard. So when I do get an opportunity to help this team, I can do it. And you know what? Maybe sometimes if somebody goes in a bit of a stretch or slump there, maybe I can get some regular playing time. But I'm going to keep myself ready. That's exactly what Tanner Leggett did. And if you've ever been around him, you know what a good guy he is. We got a lot of good guys on this team. Good guys usually win. Because good guys get along in the locker room and good guys get along off the field. Good guys do what they're supposed to do when their number's called. That's not to say those guys aren't enjoying college life, because they are. I'm not going to make them out to be a bunch of choir boys. They're not. But we got some good guys that believe in the M over S. And Tanner Leggett, of course, this is a guy, too. I'm looking back at some numbers here. Guys, he has not had a hit since May 22nd against Alabama. Just think about that for a second. He scored a run against Virginia. As a pinch runner. I think that's right. Played in the SEC tournament, didn't do much of anything. But he's had one hit in over a month. He's had the biggest hit of our season. And on a 1-1 count, Tanner Leggett pulls and looked to be a slider. Got a little too much of the plate there. And he rips it over the shortstop's head into the gap. And to be honest with you, looking at how well that thing traveled, I think Skinner might have even scored from first. But Tanner Leggett was a guy that in many respects that many of you would probably have forgotten 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 3 years from now. Somebody say, oh, yeah, he's that guy. Yeah, he's that guy. Now he's that guy that's hit that ball that sends us to the College World Series final. A guy that wins the bracket. A guy that beats Texas. It's a huge hit in our baseball history. And how appropriate is it on this team? Well, we don't really have a bona fide superstar. And I'm not being disrespectful to Tanner Allen. He is the SEC Player of the Year. But we don't have that bona fide, surefire first-round pick. We don't have that guy. This is a team of essentially role players that is kind of carried ahead by strong leadership of Rowdy Jordan, T.A., and some others. And how appropriate is it that a team-first guy, a guy that could have quit and given up on his dream of being a Bulldog, a guy that could have just said, you know what, I'm going to sit out and go in the transfer portal. A guy that could have pouted. The guy that could have felt sorry for himself and become a cancer in the locker room. But he didn't do that. And now here we are benefiting from his commitment to our program and his commitment to his own character. He says, you know what, that's not who I am. I'm not going to be that guy that's ungrateful. Yeah, I want to play more. I do. And there's some times, too, I think he's taking some selfish swings. Try to do a little bit too much with the baseball. And maybe playing in TD Ameritrade was good for him. He's like, you know what, I'm not going to hit a jack here. I'm just going to try to hit a ball hard somewhere if I can hit a line drive in a gap. And he did. Ends up being one of the biggest at-bats in program history. I absolutely love it. And I'm so happy for this young man. And I'm so happy for his family. Because what he has done for Mississippi State is remarkable. And it wasn't Rowdy or T.A. or Logan Tanner or even Luke Hancock. It's the bottom third of the order producing. And so, of course, we have all these knee-jerk reactions. Oh, he needs to be playing short instead of Forsythe. Well, listen, Forsythe's a better defender, okay? That's not to say that Tanner is any slouch by any stretch of imagination. But, we're getting ready to go play for a national championship. I don't know if now is the time for us to tinker with chemistry. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's just kind of keep rolling with what we're doing. It's worked out so far, and it's so funny, too. I read all the second guessing out there. I laugh at the stuff. It's like, do you realize what you're complaining about? We're complaining about decisions being made in the College World Series at Omaha. We're one of the last 4 teams playing. I'm not saying we shouldn't expect more, but let's kind of give our coaching staff a little credit here. They've got us playing for a national championship without your social media commentary. Right? And I thought Chris Simonis tonight was masterful. I've read some other things. I've even had some baseball people reach out to me and say, when T.A. grounded into the double play there, why didn't we have Rowdy going? And I think a lot of it's just kind of the fear of the strike him out, throw him out. Rowdy is quick. He's not the fastest guy, but also, too, Silas Ordowan is a dude behind the plate. And so you run there, and it's a strike him out, throw him out. Then all of a sudden we're here, and I don't understand why we sent him there. And so there's always the guessing game, and we have the gift of hindsight. We're not having to make these decisions on the fly. And I don't know that I wouldn't have sent him. But I also understand sometimes you don't run on guys that you don't feel comfortable stealing against. He's been good. It worked out for us. It painted a better script for us. But to be honest, I would rather have won like we did against Notre Dame, 11-7. We get the big lead and just kind of nurse it along and get on out of there with a W, feel good about life. We've had some magical moments in Omaha. I wrote about that on genespage.com after the ball game. 2018, Luke Alexander walks off Washington. 2019, it's Marshall Gilbert walking off Auburn. And today it's Tanner Leggett, and that's probably the most remarkable of those three.
Nobody builds 5G like Verizon builds 5G, because we're the engineers who built the most reliable network in America. And the more you do with 5G, the more building it right matters. The more your network matters. The more Verizon engineers going the extra mile matters. It's us pushing us. It's Verizon versus Verizon. 5G built right from America's most reliable network. Most reliable based on rankings from RootMetrics second half 2020 U.S. report of 3 mobile networks. Results may vary. Award is not an endorsement.
This week at Macy's, find great summer style with big savings on head-to-toe looks. Like 40 to 50% off fresh outfits for him and her. The perfect sandals, sneakers, and more 40% off. And specials like bras and panties, $19.99 and under. Plus, Macy's Star Rewards members earn on every purchase, except gift cards, services, and fees. Sign up today at Macys.com/Star Rewards. Savings off sale and clearance prices, exclusions apply.
At least L.A. and Marshall were starters. And you put a guy in as a defensive replacement, and he goes up there and just bangs one in the gap. Again, I'm not ready to call it yet, but guys, I'm not ready to concede anything to Vanderbilt. I know many of you probably feel that way and say, "Oh, Steve, it's going to be this." I'm not ready to give them anything because I've watched them play. In Hoover, I've watched them play. And TD Ameritrade, and offensively, they're just not the same team outside of that Cracker Jack ballpark. When you play all your games on turf, or just about all your games on turf, and all of a sudden you got to get out here and play on a real baseball field, there's an adjustment. Vandy's booted the ball around up here a good bit too. They may give us a little something. They might. And I'm just glad that we're the recipient of that. We'll be around to collect on that. But let's look at Vandy real quick here before we. I'll tell you what. Let's do top 10 lists, and we'll come back to Vanderbilt because I do want to talk about them at length, and because I don't know how much of a show we're going to have tomorrow. Okay, because we're doing the show today. I don't know how long we'll go. I'll get a little more in depth, I guess, with Vanderbilt tomorrow, but I don't know how long the show is. I'll try to record that in the afternoon. I may go to movies again. I enjoy doing that. I went to a movie theater up here, and I went and saw the Sparks Brothers movie. It's a good music documentary. You can go check it out if you like that sort of thing. But it was one of these theaters where you got this, there's like 25 seats in there, and you got a big 40-foot screen, and you get reclining seats, and you get reserved seating, and it's an incredible experience. And so I may go watch Fast and the Furious. How about that? My youngest kid may be disappointed if I go see that one, though, because I know he wants to go see it too. So I may have to wait, but I may go to the show tomorrow. So again, I've got a full day tomorrow, even though it's a day off. We'll do Facebook Live over on the Bulldogs 247 Facebook page. I haven't set a time for that yet, but let's do top 10 lists. And today's top 10 list is brought to you by the fine folks at JohnnyPacker.com. Johnny Packer himself, a great guy, man. Listen, he's in contact with me a lot. This is a guy that has struggled with cystic fibrosis much of his year, but you know what, much of his life, but he's not let it get him down. You know, he's a guy that's kind of worked hard, and he's got some lung function, and he's out there doing things. He's not just sitting around, you know, thinking, woe is me. He's out there living life. Him and his dog, having a great time. JohnnyPacker.com is where you can find your sunglasses. And listen, I've been in Hoover, and it's been sunny here except for today, and I'm so glad that I have them. I wear my glasses all the time. You will too. Go to JohnnyPacker.com. Order your sunglasses today. They're named after Mississippi towns because these are Mississippi folks, Mississippi State Bulldogs, putting this company together. If the frames you're looking for show is sold out, don't panic. You can send them an email at the Contact Us link, and they'll get you taken care of. They'll get some glasses on order for you. You guys are buying a lot of these glasses, and we're going to save you a little money for doing so. Use promo code Boneyard. That'll get you 10% off your purchase. And remember, a portion of every purchase is donated directly to Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. You can get your blue light glasses there. So there's just so much to choose from there. If you need more information, again, hit them up on the Contact Us link at JohnnyPacker.com. So Roy put together today's top 10 list, and we have talked about this for a little while. And we have not done a lot of country on the show. And I'm going to tell you something too. Roy's a little bit surprised. I'm not surprised. But the little recent rock covers show that we did recently, that's now your number one playlist on our Spotify channel. How cool is that? So we got more downloads on that list than any other. You guys love a cover song, and you love rock. And I know many people that kind of pigeonhole me into thinking, you know, Steve's just an 80s rock guy. You're wrong. I love a lot of modern rock stuff. Got modern rock tattoos, too. So get your game up, son. So, and before I get into this one, I almost put together an Oleander list because I love Oleander. And I joked about this on Twitter. I listened to their album, Something Beautiful, on the way to the ballpark when we won our first two games. I'm losing track of my days. On Friday, I didn't listen to Oleander. I listened to Omaha, Nebraska's own Arson City, and we lost. So today, because I'm a baseball superstitious person, I said, you know what? I'm going to listen to Oleander today, and we won. So you'll be glad to know I'll be listening to Oleander every day next week. Not that it makes any difference, but it just matters to me. But Roy's been after me for a while on this, and we want to do a little more country because I know we've got a lot of country music listeners here, and some people that like country and rock. But this is a band that I really dig. From the very first time I ever heard them, I loved it. I really did. They actually did a song with Chris Cornell, too, that is great. And you know what a big Chris Cornell fan I am. But it's the Zac Brown Band. And I know right now some people are clapping because they know how great the Zac Brown Band is. I mean, they're absolutely tremendous. And so Roy put the list together. I have listened. I know most of these songs, but I listened to the rest of them. And it's a great list. So you can give Roy the thumbs up. I approve this list, but it is Roy's creation. So number 10 on the list is the song Nothing. I know many of you probably know that one. It is a good one. Jolene, and it's not a cover, but Jolene, the Zac Brown Band. This is another one of those songs that we're all kind of somewhat familiar with these relationships. You know, it's kind of a toxic deal. You know, it's about a guy that's kind of wrapped up in chemical dependency and stuff, and you know, this is I can't get straight, I can't do right. You kind of got to understand this is who I am, and you know, there's a lot about this one still. You know that there's a lot of people that I know that they deal with this kind of stuff, and so I dig the track. I'm not as familiar with it as some other people may be, but I dig it. I think Zach Brown's an extremely talented guy. Number 8 on the list is Goodbye in Her Eyes. You've all been there too, right? We've all experienced that sort of stuff. I mean, you love people and maybe they don't love you the way you want them to, or maybe they don't love you the way that you love them back. I'm a firm believer. I write that down in some of the poetry books when I sign up with people. That I hope that the people you love you back. I don't know who coined that phrase, but I think it's great. Because how many times have we had these bouts of unrequited love, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like you just think so much and you love somebody so much, and maybe you're infatuated with them or whatever, but you invest so much emotional energy in it, you don't get the return on it, and it's just heartbreaking. But this is the one about somebody moving on. I saw goodbye in her eyes. I don't think I can change it. There's no way to disguise it. We'll never make it. And that's a realization you come to at some point in some relationships. And that's the adult decision. When you know it's not going anywhere, you got to pull plug. Highway 20 Ride, that's another great one there too. And because of the fact that we have a Highway 20, it's really an interstate, we can kind of make this our own song there. Free, and that's on the greatest hits too. Another great one. As She's Walking Away, they even have Alan Jackson on this one. We talked about Alan Jackson recently on the show, and that got listed really well too, and ended up in the top 10. So you guys like some country. I really think the Zach Brown list is going to do well because it has a lot of mainstream appeal to it. Number 4 on the list is Homegrown. I really think Mason Miller, your Mississippi State offensive line coach, is a guy from Georgia, just like the Zach Brown Band group. And he always talks about it's great when they're homegrown. I think he's referencing this song. I'm going to ask him now that I think about it. I think this is what he is talking about. I think there is a correlation between Mason Miller's tweets about in-state recruits and this Zach Brown Band song. Number 3 on the list, and there are so many of you that love this one. I love it too. I love the Latin feel of this track. It's a song called Toes. You all know it. Got my toes in the sand. I'm not going to tell the rest of the lyrics, but it's just such a good time and track, man. I mean, it's like going on vacation, just kind of being away from it all for a while. And I love how he sings it. There's just happiness in his voice. I love positivity when I can find it. Number 2, Colder Weather. Another great track. This is one of those tracks, too, that lyrically I think is one of their stronger ones. I really think that the whole colder weather thing is just kind of a metaphor for other things. I mean, it's just kind of like an excuse. He's got this girl that's in love with him and says he wants to see her again, but she said, I can't trust you. You're a guy that's always on the road. You're rambling. You got a gypsy soul, that sort of stuff. But lyrically, I think it is a tremendous song. I think the songwriting is excellent. And I'm really glad that Roy put that one on the list. But number 1, what else could it be? It's chicken fried. Because we all like our chicken fried and cold beer on a Friday night, even though I'm retired. A pair of jeans that fit just right and the radio up. This is one of those great good timing songs. I don't care if you hate country music, you'll love this one. And I absolutely love it. And everywhere I go, it seems they're still playing it. That song is 10 years old now? And it still gets played all the time, and I think everybody knows the words to it. And it never gets overplayed, even though it's played so much. And I think that's the mark of a great song, is you never really get tired of hearing it. They played at Duty Noble. They played all over the place. And they played it here at TD Ameritrade. It is an incredible song, and I hope you guys will dig it. That's our top 10 list, the Zach Brown Band, courtesy of Roy Samante. If you're looking for our top 10 list, go to Roy Spotify channel at Dogmatic. That's DAWGMATIC 67 at Spotify, and follow him on Twitter as well. Now let's talk a little about Vanderbilt. This segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart. I ran into Stan the Man on the streets of Omaha, Nebraska, right outside the stadium. After the game was over, we had a chance to talk. Listen, Campus Bookmart is stocked up on College World Series shirts. So if you can't make it, or maybe you could make it, maybe you couldn't find the shirts you were looking for, maybe the shirt wasn't in your right size, I can promise you Stan and Miss Kathy are going to have them. Go visit them at campusbookmart.net, and by being a loyal Boneyard listener, we'll give you a phrase that pays. That's BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. And that'll get you free shipping on all orders over $50. Any order less than $50, absolutely incomplete. But the supplies on these shirts are going to be limited. So if you're in town, maybe swing by and get them. But don't delay. Because here's the thing you need to understand too. And I thought about this earlier. Every time I've come to the College World Series, I've been able to get Mississippi State shirts at a discount price because I always buy them after we've been eliminated. There will be no discounted shirts this year. How about that? Because we're playing to the end. We're playing to the end. It's amazing, man. We're playing to the end. So campusbookmart.net, go check them out. And go by and see Susie and hug her and tell her that I miss her because I've been gone for a long time now. The lovely, talented Susie runs a show down there at Campus Bookmart. So go by and see her and let her know. Go hug her and say, hey, that's from Steve. And you know what else is cool too, guys, is I talk about this discounted shirts. So when we come here, and I'm sure it's the same for fans that buy a parking pass, you know, they give us that parking pass, and I've never had to use them all. They give them to you, and I think, man, how great would it be to use all these parking passes? And it seems like a small thing. I mean, it really is, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. But I thought, you know, every year I end up throwing these parking passes away because I didn't have to use them because we get eliminated. And now there's not going to be another game of college baseball played this year that Mississippi State's not a participant in. So we're going to get to do that. We're going to have to buy full-price shirts, and we're going to get to use all of our parking passes. And I think that's super, super cool. All right, let's talk a little bit about Vanderbilt here. I mentioned that offensively they have not been elite in Omaha. And to be fair, we have not either. You know, we have not really had any separation. All of our wins have been by one run, right? We beat Texas 2-1, right? We beat Virginia. We beat those guys. I don't even remember what the score was now. Was it 5-4? But it all runs together after a while. But, you know, we've won some tight ball games. So I think we match up pretty well in this respect with them. Because I don't think they're a team that's going to be able to score a whole lot. They win 7-6 against Arizona in 12. Let me run some numbers down here for you, too. Just kind of looking at this, too. It's really the first time I've really spent some time to look at it. You know, Arizona jumped on them 3-0. And Vandy just kind of stayed the course and tied the game up in the fourth. And then Arizona takes another lead. And Vanderbilt takes a lead in the seventh. Arizona ties it. And Vandy walks it off there in the 12th. But Vandy with 3 errors in the ballgame. 3 errors. And again, that's about that turf. And when you play all the time on that, you know, that rubber grade stadium floor they got, then you make an adjustment, things change. So they booted the ball around a little bit. You know, looking at some hit numbers here, you know, Enrique had a hit, Carter Young had a hit, Dominic Keegan had a couple, Troy Levine, who has been good for them down the stretch, he had a couple. Cooper Davis, Spencer Jones did nothing. Isaiah Thomas 1 for 6, and I'm a Isaiah Thomas fan, but he hadn't had a really good stretch here at Omaha. Parker Nolan 1 for 6. C.J. Rodriguez, one of the best catchers in the country, 2 for 6. Jason Gonzalez had a good game for him, 3 for 5, and of course walks the ball game off there with a big hit late with a drawn-in infield for some reason. Jay Johnson, welcome to LSU. Hope you do that against us. The North Carolina State game is a 1-0 loss, and again, they just couldn't get much going here. Vanderbilt, both teams actually play it clean, but NC State scores a run there in the 5th and then had to pitch it to kind of make it stand up. Vanderbilt, 2 hits in the ball game. That's right, 2 hits in the ball game. Dominic Keegan with 1, and then Javier Baz gets the other. So NC State really shut them down. Now, granted, it was a great pitching effort, and we would need to put one together too. You know, we'll see how things progress. But you know, the Stanford game is another one. They just didn't do much offensively. Kind of got some things going late, and were gifted some things too. But you know, it's a 6-5 ball game, and a lot of the offense came late in this game. You know, it's like, my goodness, Stanford jumps out to a 4-0 lead, and you think they're going to just cruise to a win here. Vandy gets a couple, then next thing you know, Stanford scores again to get one of his runs back, and then late in the ball game, you know, it's a 5-4 game, and they got their best guy on the hill. And granted, Stanford's a 39-win team, but you know, Vandy boots the ball around again. 3 errors in the ball game. 3. They get 9 hits, but they had trouble kind of stringing things together. Enrique had a good ball game with 3. Dominic Keegan, who has had a great Omaha run with a couple of hits. We've got to be careful with him. He had a nice bomb against those guys, too. Parker Nolan with a couple of hits. Spencer Jones has the pinch hit thing there, but you look up and down here. I mean, it's a different guy every night, but at the same time too, it's the usual suspects. It's a lot of the guys Dominic Keegan is a guy that we're going to have to really watch. Parker Nolan too. They got some trained hitters over there, and then the North Carolina State game yesterday. And I'm still really upset about this. I mean, I don't know. I just feel bad for those players. And those fans that paid all that money to come all this way. And listen, I know it's real easy to be critical of NCAA, but as I said on Matt Wyatt's show too, if you're Vanderbilt, I know they're an easy target for criticism. Listen, we did what we were supposed to do. We're vaccinated, whatever, and you expect us to take the field with people that aren't. And that's against the protocols that we all agreed to at the beginning of the tournament. So, if that's true, then that's the only decision you could make. NC State has to go play with their only players that aren't affected by the COVID protocols. I'm not going to get political here. I'm not going to share my feelings on what I think about vaccines and viruses and all that sort of stuff. I just know that these were the established rules, and we have to abide by them, even if it's inconvenient. You can't change the rules late in a game like this. You just can't. And it's sad to see those guys get the rug ripped out from under them, especially when they were the only undefeated team in the bracket. But it's about time Vandy caught a break, right? So that ball game, though, I was so impressed with those kids. They had every chance to mail it in. They don't. Vanderbilt, of course, makes another error, and NC State made a couple, but it's a wonder they didn't make more. Enrique Brackfield goes 0 for 5. Carter Young 0 for 3. Dominic Keegan, again, 1 for 4. Troy Levine 0 for. Javier Vaz gets a hit. C.J. Rodriguez with a hit. A big hit for him. And then Parker Nolan, a couple of hits. Again, that right side of that Vandy infield is hitting the baseball. Not a lot of consistency throughout the order there. Kumar Rocker, of course, goes 6 innings pitched. What I understand from talking to some people, some college baseball insiders, is they do expect to throw Jack Leiter on Monday, and that he was not going to throw today. That they were going to hold him, and that they were going to throw Riley today and then hold Leiter for Monday. So now Leiter will throw on Monday. And Kumar Rocker threw a ton of pitches yesterday. And listen, this guy's had a great year, and he's done a lot of high-stress innings, but he goes 6 innings and throws 111 pitches on Thursday, and they say that he could come back and pitch in Game 3. Now, if we win Game 1, they're probably going to bring him back in Game 2. And that's okay too. Because here's the deal, is we're not seeing them in the regular weekend rotation. We're not seeing them on their same schedule of rest. Let's run the numbers here real quick before we kind of move on. And again, tomorrow we'll kind of preview them a little bit more if I can navigate this this side a little bit better. Vandy's site's different than Mississippi State, so you kind of don't understand sometimes when you go to other places, other people's website, how much it all works and how it doesn't. So let me see if I can't find what we're looking for here. And it's they have thrown Kumar and Jack an awful lot. Of course, Jack does take some time off earlier in the year, but Rocker is a guy that has had some up and down at times, but he's been the stud that many people expected him to be. And I've shared with you guys before, until you see him at field level, you don't really appreciate his athleticism for a bigger guy. But he's the truth. But man, he has thrown a lot of high stress innings here in Omaha. I mean, a lot. So let me look at these stats here and just kind of share this out for you guys too. I think he's 14 games. Ridiculous. So let's see here. So he goes against NC State on June 25th, and he had thrown June 19th against Arizona. So 5 days rest there. And so that was on Thursday. So if you start getting into Wednesday, again, that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's 5 days rest again. So, and he wasn't quite as sharp. And listen, and that's saying a lot considering how great he is. But they could hold him to Wednesday, and we'd see him in Game 3. But again, I fully expect if if we win game one, if we beat Leiter, I'm sure we'll see Rocker. I don't think Corbin will be that worried about how it looks. As he's mentioned, we're still playing. We don't really care how it looks. And people say, well, that's out of context. No, it's not. It's absolutely not out of context. And I don't want to assign motive and how somebody else would feel. I will never profess to know what's in another person's heart. But I just thought I thought Tim Corbin could have handled that a lot better. Not that he needs my opinion by any stretch of the imagination or my approval. But I think this is a situation, too, where Vandy could have been a lot more gracious than they were. And maybe that's part of the rub, right? Maybe that's why everybody says, you know what, Vanderbilt's kind of become the evil empire in many respects. And it's so funny, too, they're not a storied program, but they're going to play for a national championship, for like the fifth time in a decade. You got to give them the props. I mean, I have to like them, but you have to respect them. So Jack Leiter threw against NC State and lost, and that was his first start in 9 days. Of course, he pitched against East Carolina in the Super, and then pitched against Georgia Tech in the regional. So he ought to be, fresh and good to go. But he is a guy too down the stretch that has not been quite as dominant as he was earlier in the year. He takes a loss against Ole Miss earlier this year, and then beats Georgia Tech in a 4-3 deal, and then beats East Carolina, and then loses to NC State. So he's certainly beatable. It's not the dominant force that many people expect. And he's really good, though. Don't get me wrong. But we've beaten him once. Matter of fact, we were the first team to ever beat him in his college career. So we should have some confidence to go out there and say, you know what? We've beaten him before, we can. And that's a 7-4 ball game that we won that second game there at Vanderbilt. And then he turns around and loses the next one. He got a no decision a week before against Tennessee, but he had a really rough stretch there. Then they sat him for a week, kind of got him back on track. So it's kind of like Chris Lamona said too. It's never easy for Mississippi State. I mean, our path is our path. I mean, listen, you're not going to play some bad team in the College World Series final. It's going to be a great team. You got to go earn it. You got to go beat somebody. It's like Ric Flair used to say, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And so Vanderbilt's the reigning national champions. And so there's a part of me, too, it's like people say, I'm kind of scared of them and kind of have our number. I think it's going to really motivate our team because we should have won that series in Nashville in the first place. We blew it. We should have won it. And I think that it will drive us a little bit. I think Vanderbilt, in many respects, too, may think, we've already been here. We know what it takes. We got the big guns on the pitching staff. But here's what happens if you go out there and you beat one of those guys. Where does the blame go then? Where does the pressure go then? There's no pressure on us. They're the defending national champions. Everybody's expecting them to win, but we're capable of beating them. I think our guys can go out there and play loose and fast. And listen, your expectations are riding on the shoulders of your players too. They understand what's at stake. They know how close this program has come and never gotten there. They want to be the first team to win a national championship, too. It's not just you that wants it. There's probably nobody that wants it more than them. But you come to Mississippi State for reasons such as this, to play for a national championship. There are a lot of people that talk about it. There are a lot of people in their recruiting pitches and say, hey, we're going to be here and play for championships. And maybe that's SEC tournament championships, but not national championships. And you look at our history, we've been very close. But here we are. When John Cohen and the team back in 2013 got on that run, they got hot late, and we just rode the wave all the way to the finals. And UCLA got the better of us, and we couldn't throw Kendall Graveman, and that's unfortunate. And we may not be able to throw Will Bednar. We may not. And, I'll be honest with you, when Will throws, it almost feels like a guaranteed win to me. That's how I feel. That's how confident I am in him. And that's not to say that he might not be able to come back and get you a couple of innings on Wednesday, But, to expect him to go start a ball game is probably asking a little bit too much at this point. And I don't know if we're going to get to Wednesday. I don't know if Vanderbilt can extend the series that long. No, I'm joking. It's going to be a very, very hard-fought series, and I think you guys all know that. And I think that familiarity breeds contempt. I don't know who coined that phrase, but it's true. We don't like them. And I don't get the feeling they like us very much either. As Kendall Rogers tweeted out today in response to a tweet that I'd sent out, is anybody that thinks John Cohen's going to do anything to help Vanderbilt, I mean, it's just laughable. And it is. But this is kind of we have said for a long time, it's like, hey, these guys have all the scholarship advantages, but yet here we are with less scholarships and in some respects less talent than they have, and we're about to go play them for a national championship. And nobody gave us any gifts along the way. We didn't get any good fortune. We didn't get to play teams' backups. We didn't get to save arms today by not playing a ball game. And listen, it's not Vandy's fault those things happened, but we had to earn every step. So we rightfully deserve to be there. And I don't know that Vanderbilt could have beat NC State a second time, especially at full strength. But it is what it is. I can't make it any better or any worse than what it is. They're there. We're there. We'll figure it out. We'll show up. We'll play baseball. And there were so many people like yesterday, everybody's overreacting. Oh, if we did this, we would have this. Listen, let's just get there. Okay? That's the thing. Let's just get there and go play the game. There's a reason we play the games, right? None of these games are played on paper. They're played on the diamond. So let's just go give our guys a shot. How many of you gave us a chance to come back and win that game against Virginia? I go back even further. How many of you guys even gave us a chance to be a top 8 national seed? And there's so much of that too. There's so much of that negative emotion that is invested in this because it's a coping mechanism for people. It's like we're so scared to be let down and disappointed again that we want to be able to come back and say, I told you so we can at least have a little bit of a victory. Is that even though in our hearts we're hoping beyond everything we have that Mississippi State will win this national championship, we throw out a little self-defense mechanism so we can come back and tell our Ole Miss friends, well, I knew they weren't going to win. Belief is a wonderful thing. But let's go back a little bit. There were some that said, you know what, we don't even deserve to host a regional because of how bad we played at Hoover. Guys, I don't know if you realize this. Hoover wasn't our priority. We had bigger fish to fry. Said that then. It's embarrassing. It is. Because you got to put up with all that nonsense, and then people are saying we're not good enough to be a top 8 national seed, and many of you bought that rhetoric without doing the math yourself and actually looking at the resumes, and you'd see that Mississippi State probably should have been the 6th seed. It may have worked out better for us to be 7. But we earned it. And then people expected us to lose to Virginia Commonwealth for some reason because they scored a bunch of runs against Campbell, and because we have this inferiority complex, we said, they're going to run us out of here, and they didn't. There was a rout in that ball game, and it was because we blew them out. Then we get through our friends from Campbell, and then people are thinking, Notre Dame's going to come in here and beat us. We win the first game, and then we lose the second one. Everybody's like, see, I told you we're going to get to Omaha. It's a good thing the Bulldogs had different plans. They went there and jumped on Notre Dame in that second inning and put that game away, even with your nonsense. And we got to Omaha. Then we couldn't beat Texas. Oh, it was so unfair. Not going to be able to beat Texas. And we go out there and beat them again. And then everybody's like, I don't feel good about the game against Virginia. They're so scrappy and they're so gutsy and they got grit. You know what? So do we. So do we. And we had a little bit more. They thought they had us on the mat. We had them exactly where we wanted them. And we won the ball game. And our stars shined the brightest on that night. And we beat them. Then after we lose to Texas. And listen, if you're listening to the show, sir, I just want to tell you, you really offended me. You really did. After the ball game on Friday night when we had lost. I guess we hadn't lost yet. We were in the middle of a rain delay. And there was a guy that passed me. He recognized me. He said, well, there's one constant that still remains. I said, oh, yeah, what's that? I knew where he was going. He said, man, they always find a way to let us down. And I just want to tell you, sir, I understand your frustrations. I've been there before. But we don't need that in the fan base anymore. We just don't. That constant feeling of impending doom, constantly expecting the next shoe to fall. I hope you're celebrating tonight like the rest of us. I hope you are. Because we all want the same things. We just don't always express it the same way. But I just tell you, to drive all the way to Omaha, Nebraska and say, well, they always let me down. Well, don't come. You can stay home and watch it on TV. I appreciate your commitment to come and support Mississippi State, but I don't appreciate your comment. Not one bit. I don't respect it. Because that's who we used to be. That's maybe who we were when our dads were younger. Maybe that's who we were when we were younger. But no, the expectations have changed at Mississippi State. So no, I don't expect them to disappoint me. I expect them to go win a national championship. And if it's not this year, maybe it's next year or the next year. But that's what I expect. And so yeah, I'm disappointed when that doesn't happen. But I am never disappointed in these young men. I'm never disappointed in these coaches because that's baseball sometimes. So no, Mississippi State's never been a disappointment to me. Mississippi State's never been an embarrassment to me. And I read so many of these people out here that make these comments, and sometimes it makes me want to vomit. It's like, man, I'm the biggest Mississippi State fan in the world. Yeah, until we lose. Until we lose. And say, oh, Steve, you're just a sunshine pumper. Well, no, I'm not. If you knew me well, you'd understand. I have my moments too. But I can assure you this. Driving up here to Omaha, Nebraska, and calling anything related to Mississippi State as a disappointment is a joke. You're disappointed we made it to Omaha? You're disappointed we wanted the Final Four teams playing? Now I hope you're disappointed we're playing for a national championship, and I hope come Wednesday you're really, really disappointed that we won anyway. And again, I'm not ready to call it, but I like our chances. He said, oh, Steve, it's Vanderbilt. Yeah, it's true, but we're Mississippi State. And I can assure you that we're probably the last team in the world that Tim Corbin wants to see. Because we kind of got a little bit burr under our saddle about Vanderbilt. We got a little shot of redemption. We also understand, too, that, you may have forgotten this, but in 2018, we went into their place and beat them at their place in a super regional, went to Omaha, and they stayed home and watched us. 2019, they were a better team for the experience. And they beat us. And maybe, you know what, just maybe we're a better experience, a better team today because of the experience for them beating us. Maybe we learned something in Omaha in 19. It says, you know what, I don't want to feel this way again. So let me go find a way to get a win. And so, kind sir, I didn't say anything to you last night. And I started not to address it on the show. But I thought maybe it's better because there are a lot of people that feel like you do. And I just think it's a sad way to go through life, thinking I'm just constantly waiting for Mississippi State to disappoint me. The difference between me and you is I just keep waiting for Mississippi State to amaze me. Let's talk about Portico before we get out of here. Portico, listen, move to Starkville. The water's great, the people are great, the scenery is great, the entertainment is great, and Portico is great. Portico is a great place. And listen, it's easy to get to. If you're coming to town on 82, you take that left on 12. It's the very first right. That's how close it is. So just over a mile away from campus. And Brooks Bryan and I interact a lot. And Brooks is a guy that's very much invested in Mississippi State. He's part of a great group here that are just trying to give you guys a great place to live, a great place to play, a great place to maybe make it your weekend getaway, whatever. Portico, great location, and you get 2-bedroom, 2-bath type homes. And listen, there's going to be 51 houses in this development, so it's not going to be, a million houses spin on top of each other. You're going to be able to enjoy letting your kids get out and enjoy the neighborhood. Got that great walking trail and everything. Houses range in size from 1,300 to 2,000 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, up to 4-bedroom, 4-bath. That sounds right. Go by and check it out. But maybe if you're not ready to do that, let me encourage you to write this number down. 601-416-8075. Again, that's 601-416-8075. That's Brooks Bryan's personal cell number. I know we text regularly, sometimes during the ball games. And sometimes I'm busy and I'm working and doing my play-by-play article and I can't get right back to him and I'm scared to text him late at night. But be that as it may, Brooks will give you all the information. There's only a couple of houses left in Phase 1. Phase 2 is about to start rolling too. So call and get some information. I know it's been your dream to move back to Starkville or to move Starkville for the first time. Portico is going to be the way to go. Absolutely, without a doubt. Make Portico your next move. All right, so let's talk about a couple of things before we get out of here. So all of our games against Vanderbilt will be 6 p.m. Central. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Be prepared for that. Now, many people are having trouble getting tickets already. Now, I'm going to encourage you as your friend, you need to try to get tickets taken care of before you get here. There's not the paper tickets floating around here. It's a digital type deal, whatever, and I would encourage you to make sure you buy them through a reputable vendor. I've had many people tell me they've tried to go through Ticketmaster and then like tickets get bought like out from under you. So when you jump in there, you better be ready to roll, because now there's a lot of people that were maybe kind of on the fence about coming. They're like, you know what, I'm going now. I wanted to go. Well, now that we're in the finals, I'm going to go. I can't count how many people have messaged me or tweeted me and said, you know what, Steve, we're leaving in the morning. We're heading out there and going to get ready and get settled, and we're going to be part of this Mississippi State traveling party. You should be able to buy some general admission tickets, but it's not like it has been. They got all that stuff even though it's GA, it's reserved, so it's not going to be what it has been. There's no lottery this year, so I'm going to again encourage you, buy your tickets through a reputable third-party ticket vendor. We used to have a deal with SeatGeek, right? And you got 10% off your first purchase if you downloaded the app. I don't even know if that promo code works or not anymore, but it was Boneyard. So if you're using the SeatGeek app, try to use your Boneyard podcast, your Boneyard promo code, see if it works. Try to save you guys a little money. A lot of people are reaching out and saying, you know what, Steve, what about hotels? Listen, Google is your friend, okay? Priceline.com, places like that. That's the way to go. So I don't know why people ask me for that advice, because I'm not a travel agent or anything. I can just tell you that I've been out here, and a lot of people are kind of moving on too. Like, I would encourage you, maybe consider jumping on that Texas team hotel. Find out where maybe the Texas team hotel was, because a lot of their people are going to be leaving now. So those rooms will be opening up. And so there's going to be a lot of people leaving and then a lot of people coming. And so things are going to be in demand, and you can be patient with yourself, but you need to secure your tickets and your hotel rooms before you get here. If not, you're going to find yourself in a pretty cheap hotel watching the game on TV. So handle that before you go. I know, like, there'll always be people selling them. Nope. I can tell you, I've had countless Mississippi State people that wanted to go to some of the other games because they were in town, and they were walking around, and you can't find anybody selling tickets. So do not depend on that. I'm telling you, before you get in the car and you make your drive up here, you need to secure some tickets. Absolutely secure some tickets, because a lot of people that went to bed tonight thinking, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, and they're going to pay a lot more for them if they can find them. So there will be some people, obviously, that that are disappointed because they didn't make it. I'll put some tickets up for sale, whether it be on Ticketmaster or StubHub or whatever. But I'm going to encourage you to use the ticket office through TD Ameritrade. Call them directly, or if they got a website, use that, and try to buy tickets at face value. If you want things in the grandstand, they should have some available, but I'm going to be honest with you, those are going to be difficult to get. But again, secure your tickets before you hit the road. Don't depend on that when you get here, because it's not like it's normal where you've got 50 people walking around before a game, 10 minutes before a game, willing to sell you tickets for maybe $10 above face value. That just does not exist right now. It may come back at some point, but it doesn't now. And as far as the restaurants and meals and that sort of stuff, there's a lot of information out there to help you with that. But I think it's very, very important. Again, I feel like I'm belaboring the point, but do not depend on ticket vendors up here. Get that handled now. Even if you have to pay a little bit more, go ahead and get it done, because the last thing you want to do is get here and get shut out. Because some guys the other day, I can't remember the guy's name, but we were out there talking. You're just trying to get some tickets to go see the I think it was the Vanderbilt NC State game, and the guy was still trying to sell them for $60, and it's like the third inning. We're thinking, maybe I can get them for $10. What that tells me is the guy has no money in the tickets. That's a guy that's like, I don't have any investment to recoup, so I'll just eat them before I sell them to you at a discount. So understand, there are not a lot of ticket vendors just roaming the streets of Omaha to take care of you. Take some personal responsibility and go ahead and get it done. Also, too, there is a lot of merchandise here in the village, and a lot of it's going to be super cool. And so, again, encourage you, maybe do all that shopping early, because it's going to run out quickly. It's absolutely going to run out. And, I will share with you guys, too. I want to give a couple shout outs to a couple places. A lot of people talk about the Drover, and Dave Murray went for like the first time in forever and said it was fabulous. The Drover restaurant, it's kind of a legendary place up here. There's another place called Spaghetti Works that Dave turned me on to. I went there back-to-back days for lunch, and it was tremendous. The service is great, and even if the pasta's not quite enough, they'll bring you another bowl of it. If you want some more, they'll bring you some more. That's a really cool thing. They got a really good salad bar there, too. But there's a lot of great Italian places around here. There's just so much to do, so much to look at, and a lot of people are wondering what to do during the day. I work and sleep during the day because of these late nights kind of get to me after a while. Matter of fact, it's after 2 a.m. here now. But a lot of people love going to the zoo. I would encourage you to kind of plan some activities and don't just try to wing it. If you're going to get out and get the kids out, maybe go do some things for the ball game, kind of have a plan, because there's going to be a lot of people here that aren't ordinarily here kind of doing the same things you're doing. So listen, love all you guys, man. And again, it feels so good to win. So excited. Thanks again for your support of all the books. I've had people up here buying books on Amazon. It's incredible. But Blooms of Oleander is the new one. You can go check it out. And thanks again for having that on the top 10 list. And then if you're looking for Alpha Dogs and Stark Villains and Flim Flam, and you should be, go to alphadogsthebook.com. It's alpha, DAWGS, thebook.com, and you can get personalized copies there. And summertime's here. Baseball's going to be over soon, so you're going to want to extend all this and kind of enjoy the memories. Got some good ones for you in there. And, of course, Blooms of Oleander available pretty much everywhere. And you can find it also on Amazon. But if you need personalized copies, you need to contact Miss Carolyn and the crew there at Bookmart and Cafe in Starkville. You can look that up. Again, that's Bookmart and Cafe at Starkville. All right, that's going to do it for today. You guys got a free show. Again, I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know how long we'll go. We'll see. We'll have in our top 10 list. We'll break down Vanderbilt a little bit more. And maybe we'll get some more news, and we'll talk about that then. I'm hoping we get a football commitment. I was told that would happen this weekend, or a good chance of it happening, so we'll see how things progress. But until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we'll make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.
Get 30% shorter average wait time. When you buy and book your appointment at DiscountTire.com, you can get 30% shorter average wait time in the store. Discount Tire. Let's get you taken care of.
At CVS Health Hub, you can see a provider, fill a prescription, and grab what you need, all in one trip, even on evenings and weekends. That's healthier made easier. Visit a CVS Health Hub today. Services vary by location. See cvs.com/healthhub for details.